Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time frame it is, wherever you're at today. Welcome to the second Facebook Live. Just want to welcome everybody this morning as we go through today. The first thing I want to say is I am totally, and I don't even know how to say it, just completely amazed with the amount of people that were on the feed yesterday. That made comments on there. I'm very interactive, so please keep the comments coming. I tried to I gave myself another job yesterday. Didn't know I was going to have another job, but I gave myself another job because I personally tried to respond to almost every comment that I had on the screen yesterday. What was interesting though was Facebook would not allow me to make comments. About every fourth or fifth person I could get a reply to, and I was trying to do that last night, trying to do it early this morning. So it's interesting. I'm not even sure how all the algorithms work with Facebook, but obviously there's some reason I couldn't get to everybody last night or today. I apologize. I'm going to try to get as many responses as I can. If I could ask you to do a couple of things for me, if you do have a comment or a question or whatever, if you could just send it personally in the messenger, I would appreciate that. That would be very helpful to me. What I would also like to ask you guys is if you could keep sharing this video. That to me was very helpful last night. We had, I think we're almost 1,600, maybe almost close to 1,700 views on yesterday's video, and we didn't even really talk about anything. It was great to see some of you guys that I haven't seen in a long time, so I appreciate that. And we're going to be getting into the training stuff here in just 1 second. A couple of things just on a housekeeping note. I'm going to keep saying, uh, please share this video with other people that you know. If you think anybody can get any information out of this training, I would greatly appreciate that you share it with other people. I'm looking to do some more stuff from an individual basis, so the more people we can reach with this, the better. I would like to say, since it is September 11th right now, or 9/11 as we like to call it, that I've been teaching for a long time, and I remember when I started teaching back in 2005, 6, 7, that time frame. I would always ask people, do you remember where you were at when Kennedy was shot? Now, I wasn't even alive then, but I'm assuming there may be some people on the feed today that were alive when that happened. I have no idea, but I do know that there were a lot of people that know exactly where they were when Kennedy was shot. If my sister's on here, if I asked her that question, she was probably, I'm going to say 7 or 8 years old at that time, so she would know exactly where she was at. So take a minute today, whenever it is, on your own time, and just try to remember where you were at on September 11th, 2001, because it's been 19 years, and 19 years goes like that. And so I think it's very interesting to see how time flies, and just watching the feed go through here and seeing people like Nancy on here that I haven't seen in probably, I'm going to say 3 or 4 years. But I know when I met Nancy and her husband Ron years ago, it was life changing for me. I know they've had some great experiences since then as well. I had the opportunity to play the cash flow game with Ron and Nancy and their kids. That was a lot of fun. So I've had a lot of great experiences through the years with all of you guys, and I want to keep those going. And a lot of things you guys said in the messenger really made me feel great yesterday, as far as how valuable it is to have that positive attitude out there today, because it's really easy to get down. It's really easy to see the world in a negative light. So what I want to do this morning, and to get into some more content related stuff, and I like to keep things as light and interactive, so if you have things to say, please make sure you're making those comments in there. I love to see the back and forth with that. I'm assuming Dan Shaker will be on here at some point giving me grief, and just to understand that's just what he does. Masook, great to see you this morning. Peter, great to see you as well. Margie, I've talked to you more through Facebook, or at least seen you on comments more than I've seen ever before. And Margie and I have known each other for basically, I think, 18 years. Margie probably doesn't remember the first wholesale assignment class that I went to. It was in Dallas, Texas, taught by a guy by the name of Jimmy Reed. Now, Jimmy Reed wasn't really the lead instructor on that, because Margie and another guy that I saw yesterday for the first time, for the first time in a long time, AC Johnson, were just starting to be teaching that class for what was Whitney Education at the time. So it's pretty cool to see people from the past showing up with different things all the way from Singapore. I have no idea what time it is in Singapore, but I appreciate you guys getting on there. That is awesome. So what I want to get into is some sales stuff today. And I'm going to ask questions, and I do expect interaction with this. I know most people on Facebook Live, I'm waving at my wife because she helped me. No, you don't have to do anything. It's all good. The boss is she made sure that all my technology was working this morning. And so she's going to get out of here. But I do want to say that this is going to be more interactive than probably your traditional types of Facebook Live. So I appreciate you guys sharing with me and going back and forth. I won't be able to answer everything, but it's been 5 years since we last saw you. That's awesome. I think you guys have a couple of kids since the last time I saw you, right? If I'm not mistaken, Shalyn. I think I know that now. I'm not for sure, but that's really cool. But the point is, I want to get this as interactive as possible. It's not going to be me talking at you for a period of time. It's going to be interactive. And what I want to talk about today is sales. Because when I ask this question, I say every time I would get up in front of a group of people, I say, by a show of hands, how many of you guys are here this morning? And in this instance, Jeff Norlanger, I bet I haven't seen Jeff in 12 to 15 years. This is pretty cool. And so now you got 2 boys, Shalyn. That is awesome. And I know when people watch the feed or watch the video after the fact, they can't believe I go back and forth and I get interrupted and I just keep right on talking. I can't do it any other way because my attention span is literally about 10 seconds. So when I see somebody type something in, my attention goes to that. And so anyway, I always would say, by a show of hands, how many of you guys are here today? And I would assume all of you guys are going to raise your hands and say that you're here today. Now, when I always would ask another question, the amount of people that would raise their hands would go down exponentially. When I would say, by a show of hands, how many of you people are in sales? And what I always found interesting is that maybe 20% of a room that I would be in, and it doesn't matter if the room was 20 people or if the room was 2,000 people, most people would say they're not in sales. And I have to respectfully disagree with everybody on this call. Because if you're a mom, a dad, if you're a son, you're a daughter, and I guarantee you're probably one of all 4 of those things. If you are a spouse, a significant other, if you're a preacher, a teacher, if you do anything, anytime you say hello, you're selling yourself. And if you don't think you're in sales, you're selling yourself short. Please don't think of sales as a dirty word, because I think a lot of people do. Sales is a 5-letter word. I want you to change that word to a different 5-letter word, and it will never feel dirty again. It's called serve. I don't think sales is sales. I think sales is serving. And so if we can serve other people in this world, guess what? We're all going to be all right. And that's what I want you guys to think about with sales, is you're not selling something, you're serving somebody. If you are actually doing your job in sales, you're serving your customers. They want something from you. If we don't have people selling us products, goods, services, whatever it is, then guess what? We're never going to have the products, goods, and services that we need. So never look at yourself as not being in sales. If you're a teacher, you're selling your thoughts, your ideas. If you're a preacher, you're selling your thoughts and your ideas. If you're a spouse, a significant other, I know there's a lot of guys on this feed right now, and I guarantee if you're a guy and you have a significant other, you're selling every day. You're trying to sell your spouse, a significant other, and there's nothing wrong with that. I told you yesterday, and I'll say this every time I have this training, I'm going to have a good time when I do this, whether you do or not. So the point I really want you guys to think about, what I really want you guys to think about is we're all in sales. Don't look at that as a dirty word. Look at it as a necessary thing that we have to do, which is because we're going to serve people. And that's what I want everybody to realize with sales is by the end of this training right here, you're going to hear some things about sales that most people don't even think about. I would stand up in front of groups of people, and it could be anywhere from, and the smallest groups I would ever do, or that I've ever been in front of, would be like 10 or 12 people. But I've been in front of 6,000 people teaching these kinds of things for the last 15 years. And so it's been interesting to see how everybody that you talk to, let me rephrase that, many people that you talk to don't want to think they're in sales. One of my business partners, her name is Monica. She doesn't know I'm going to talk about her right now. If she's on here, great. If she's not, I'm still going to talk about her. Monica always says, I don't think I'm in sales. I don't think I'm good at sales. And I've heard Monica talk to other people, and guess what? The transfer of ideas, the teaching of ideas, the teaching of thoughts, the transfer of thoughts, that's in sales. That's sales 101. You've got to, Zig Ziglar has one of the greatest quotes out there. He says, we're in the transportation business. Every one of us is in the transportation business. We're helping people get from where they're at to where they want to be. If you're a mom or a dad, you're in the transportation business. You're helping your son or daughter getting from where they're at to where they want to be. And my kids are now 18 and 15. I wasn't sure how that was all going to work out. When they're little, you're selling them all the time, but they're selling you too. In fact, I'd like to write a book, How to Sell Like a 4-Year-Old, because 4-year-olds do not take no for an answer. And they just keep asking, and they just keep asking. And what do we do as parents? We just give in. We say, okay, we'll let you have the cookie right now. So I think it's so true that we have to understand we're in sales every day. But don't look at it as a dirty thing. Look at it as a necessary thing. Every one of you guys that have ever taught a subject, I don't care if you're teaching Sunday school. I don't care if you're teaching 5-year-olds. I don't care if you're teaching adult education. I don't care if you're teaching a wholesale class like Margie teaches. I don't care that. I don't care if you're in computer programming and the only person that you're talking to is a significant, or I'm sorry, is your boss or a coworker. You're selling your thoughts and your ideas. So I think it is so important. It is so important. You guys need to think about sales is not a dirty word. It's to serve. And if we can serve other people, we're going to be all right. And that's what I think we all need to be looking at when we look in the mirror and we think we're in sales, and that's a bad thing. Sales is not a bad thing. Sales is serving. And if I was to serve you guys in any way, shape, or form, unless I was talking to Glenn and I was serving him papers to go to court and I was suing him, then that would be a different thing. Glenn doesn't think I'm going to talk about him. Glenn, I believe, is in the UK right now. So it's probably, 4 p.m. for you, my friend? The point being is, I want to make sure you guys understand sales is not a dirty word. It's something very, very important. And I want you guys to always be thinking that. So by the time we get done with this, you're going to start to see things in a different way. I think it's imperative. And I want you guys, when you get done with this, I'm going to have you go back and watch something, because by the way I'm talking here is a very specific way. Sarah Schorholtz, all the way from Nebraska. Well, you're an Iowegian, so I can't say you're in Nebraska City, but met you in Nebraska City. Know your mom very well. That's awesome. Your brother actually lives 2 blocks from me now, Sarah, if you didn't know that. I don't know if he told you that. But anyway, it's very interesting to see the sales process. And I think the sales process that we want to talk about is when we plant certain words in people's heads. My goal is to sell you guys every day on certain thoughts, ideas, products, services, whatever it is. We're doing that on a regular basis. And so what I want people to do when I stand in front of them is to buy something from me. And so what you're going to find out is if you go back and watch this live feed, I will have probably said the word buy at least 10 or 15 times in 10 or 12 minutes. That is a subconscious thing that we need to understand. Using the word buy is a great, great way to get people to buy into what you want. Even saying, by the way, works. Even saying, by a show of hands. I say that a lot. I'm going to write a book called By a Show of Hands, because I think that's a very great way to get what your message is out there literally within the first sentence. And so I think it's imperative we all start to see, can you have a shout out of where everyone is in the world right now? So Glenn, thank you very much. We've got one Iowegian on the call right now. I don't know, Sarah, if you still live in Iowa. I'm guessing you may live somewhere else now. But I know from what I'm seeing, Brian, Glenn, this might even be more fun. If I can go through and see if I know where everybody is, that would be fun for me. Eric, he's in Ottawa, Ontario. Gregory, last I knew they were in Vancouver, but I think they've moved into the Kelowna area. Gregory, correct me if I'm wrong. See, I love to play memory games. Margie lives in Ohio, I think Cleveland area. Diego, if I'm not mistaken, you just told me you moved to New Hampshire. Peter, you live somewhere in the GTA. Chris Lane, Dallas. Sarah, I don't know exactly where you live now. Amit, you are in Toronto as well. Nancy, you guys live in St. Catharines, if I'm not mistaken. That area anyway, right by what's the Niagara Falls area. Steve Hipple, I know where you live. I'm going to find you. Steve lives in Sarnia, Ontario. Brent, I think you live somewhere in the New York City area. And I know some of you guys are going, how is he doing this? I'm not looking at anything other than your names. I like to play memory games. And I know people are going to go, I thought we were talking about sales. You know, the most important thing about sales is doing exactly what I'm doing right now. Is I have remembered things about each and every one of you. And it's not a parlor trick. It's not a magic trick. The only way you remember things is through repetition and caring. Masuk, you live in a place called Sylvan Lake. Obviously know that. Shalene, you guys live in Singapore. We already talked about that. Oh, Emmanuel, I am not sure where you're at, my friend. I apologize. Jeff Norlinger, last time I knew you lived in Syracuse. I apologize for that. Conwall, I think you're a GTA guy. Brian, you're a Vancouver guy. And I know some of you guys we're going through this and it's crazy, but this is what I like to have from Cleveland, Ohio, Ottawa. Stuart, back again, Stuart. That is awesome. Somebody asked me if I got arrested in multiple places yesterday. I can't remember who even asked me that question. I've been arrested in Hong Kong. Stay tuned. We'll have that story on one of these Facebook Lives. I've been kicked out of Canada. And so I've had a lot of different things happen to me. I was here from Gatineau, not from Ottawa. It's right across the border. So New York City, Montana, Angie, all Sarasota. Angie, good to see you, kid. That's awesome. Mike from Philadelphia. This is awesome. This is really cool. And I know some of you guys are wondering why I'm going through this when I talk about sales. So Glenn, thanks for setting this up for me, because this is so important about sales. I learned this from my dad when I was a little guy. My dad had a grocery store in Nebraska City. Dan, I got to bring Nebraska City up almost every time I talk. I can't do it any differently. He had a small grocery store called Norman's IGA. My dad's name was Norm. My dad always made the comment. That your name was music to a person's ears. People love to hear their name. You might have noticed I've said multiple people's names on here. Robert Haggerty, good to see you all the way from Richmond, Virginia. That's beautiful. The point I want to make on this is when you learn people's names, use them. It's respectful, but it's also a great sales tool because most people don't do it. When you have a waiter or a waitress come up to you at a restaurant, when you go to a hotel, and the next time you go to a hotel, that's been a while for me as well. When you go to a hotel and you call the person that is serving you by name, you will get a different level of service 99.9% of the time. I'd probably say 100%, but I guess there's no sure things in this world. So remembering names and using names is so important. Like I said, my dad got that in my head when I was probably 5, 7, 8 years old, working at the grocery store. He remembered people's names. And I know this guy's probably not going to be on this call, but if the people from Nebraska City will know exactly who I'm talking about. There was a gentleman that worked with my dad or for my dad or with our family, whatever you want to call it. His name was Bill DeMast. And I was always amazed because Bill DeMast knew everybody's name in Nebraska City. His family had a business in town until it closed down years later, and then he came to work with us at our grocery store. But I was always amazed at how well Bill DeMast could remember everybody, and that was pretty cool. And so I made it a goal for me to always remember as many names as I could. Overland Park, Sarah, we're not that far away. I live in Platte City. And so what is interesting is when you start to remember other people's names, when you start to use their names, and then if you can learn more about them, when you learn more about them, I know Glenn likes to sail, so if I can talk about sailing with Glenn, if I have to sell him something, and I can talk about who he is, where he's from, he's a Kiwi that lives in the UK. And so that's something that nobody else would remember that about him. But when I can say those things about him, then obviously I've got a connection with him. Oh, we got Provo, Utah. Baz, good to see you, my friend. This is awesome. And so are we writing where we are from? I'm standing next to the guacamole. Does that count? Dan, you're always next to food. So I understand that you're always going to be thinking about food. Nothing new of that. And so the point I want to make is if you can start connecting the dots with your customers, if you can start connecting your dots with your spouse, with your kids, I'm gonna say this, and I know it's gonna sound too big, but it's really the truth. You're gonna become a better person by being a better salesperson. You're gonna become a better husband, a better father, mother, spouse, significant other. You're gonna be better if faith is what you want to be. You are going to be better in your faith if you're better at sales. And so interestingly enough, Stuart's got a story there. And I'm sure it's something about a name. I'm not going to read it all in front of everybody right now because I don't have the ability. I can't read that fast is my problem. And so what's funny is it's so important to use names. It's so important to remember things about people because when we're in the sales business, people think we're selling a product. One of the things that I'm going to be teaching and preaching on as we go through these live events is something called the 3L system. What's the 3L system? Listen, lead, and link. And that's what we're going to talk about with sales. And the most important part of sales, I can give you the top five rules of selling. Listen, 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 listen. Those are by far the top 5 rules. The next 5 rules are going to be support, 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 support. If you can listen to your customers and give them what they want, serve them what they need, they'll buy it from you. And if you support them after the sale to the utmost degree, guess what? They'll be there for you forever. And that is what is so cool, is that there is an opportunity for you to sell every day. It doesn't have to be a product that you're selling and making money off of. It can be an idea that you have. It can be a thought that you have. It can be disciplining your kids. It's all about the sales. I can't believe we're already at 20 minutes. I thought this was going to be a 10-minute call today. I really did. What I want to do, and I'm going to ask you guys to do this some more favors for me. I totally appreciate what you guys did yesterday. I think we said we had, I think Dan can probably correct me if I'm wrong. I think we had 1,600 and some views by the end of that, before we started today. And so can we roll back? Who are you? Love that story. Pip, where do you come from? Glenn, I have to tell that story every time. Most of these guys on here know who I am. That's why they're here, which is good. But I'd be happy to tell, and I'll try to keep putting more parts of my story into this. I'll talk about getting arrested in Hong Kong, about getting kicked out of Canada. And so I'll go through all that. And you guys are going to learn a lot about me. But what I want to do, first of all, is I know that this is the year 2020, which means our attention spans are this long. And so what I think we need to do is make sure that we take this in short bites. Because I know my wife will tell you, 10 or 15 minutes of me is plenty. Anything more than that is overkill. And so I'm going to try to keep this in short bits. We talked a little bit about sales. We're going to talk about sales at so many levels. We're going to talk about real estate. I'm going to go through every real estate strategy over the next number of months and years. And I know some of you guys are going, we're going to be doing this for years. I'd never done Steve Andrus is on here. He wasn't on here yesterday, I don't think, so he'll appreciate this. Mike, I hope that rehab is going well there in North Carolina. And so what I want you guys to know, Steve Comer, all the way from Chicago, you're exactly right. I'm going to talk about listen a little more, but Steve already put a quote out there I like to use. And so what's really funny is Keston, all the way from Georgia via New York City, Queens. That's awesome. And so what I want to do is I want to make sure you guys keep wanting to come back for more. I want to make sure you guys understand this is going to be, my goal is to make this kind of like a Netflix series that if you need to, you can binge watch on a day if that's what you need to do, because there'll be videos on there all the time. And so Brent's going, you were with us for 3 days, 8 hours each. And then we stayed late each night and talked to all of you. I believe Keston was in the room, I'm going to say till about 9 o'clock the second night, or maybe it was the first night. And so, interestingly enough, it's very, very cool to see, all the comments, and I love that part of it. And so what I want you guys to think about is this is going to be an ongoing series. What I've noticed is that the reason I've got so many, and I don't even know what to call it, just I'm humbled by it. All of you guys that are on this call, all the people that watched it yesterday, everybody that shared it, and I'm going to say it again, I know it sounds salesy, but I don't know how to do it any different way, is share it. Dan told me that there's some place that you can go on here and you can actually subscribe. Don't know where that is. I don't even know how it all works. And so you can subscribe so that you're going to get the notification of when I'm going to go live again and again and again. I'm not going to do a set time. It'll be different times, different days, because I have life going on just like all of you guys do. And if you can't watch it live, please make sure you try to watch the video of it, the recording of it. I would greatly appreciate that. Share it with your friends, all that kind of stuff. We're going to delve way deeper into all these different topics. But what I was starting to say, and then of course I got off on another tangent, squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. I'm like a dog chasing squirrels all day long. What I want to do, Michelle, all the way from Wichita, very cool. And so the point being is, I know that our attention spans are short. So if I can do 20, 25 minutes, I thought they were going to be 10 or 15 minute segments. We're at 25 right now, and I still have more I want to get out today. If we can just do 20, 25-minute segments, we can learn something, take 1 point home, and make a change in your habits. That is going to totally start to change your life. If you can just, from this one video today, learn people's names, start using them, and listen twice as much as you talk. I can't get too spiritual here, but I got to say it the way I got to say it. The good Lord gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. If you use them in that ratio, you're going to be all right. I know I talk a lot, but I also know that when I need to listen, I'm going to keep my mouth shut and let other people talk. And so this is going to be your opportunity. Send messages to me on Messenger, please, if you would. I did not know this, and I am not bragging when I say this. I don't know anything about the technology. I really don't. I don't know a lot about the technology. But yesterday afternoon, I thought my internet was out. I thought there was something going on and I was having a bad connection. And so, of course, I brought the boss in, who's Jennifer, my wife. And I said, hey, can you help me with this? And she's looking at it. She goes, that looks like the internet's out. She pulls up her laptop and she goes on Facebook and it's completely fine. No issues. She says, I think you just have too many replies coming in. You've got too many people wanting to make a comment. So that is humbling. I am very grateful to you guys for doing that. And yeah, I know I had some people ask me about looking to the side, looking here. I'm reading stuff as I go. This is not going to be me talking at you. This is going to be us talking to each other. Pip, you struggle to say hello in 20 minutes. I don't think I can say hello, Steve Hipple, in 20 minutes. The point is, I want you guys to just take one thing from this day today, or 2 things from this training today. Remember people's names, listen twice as much as you talk. You'll become a much better salesperson, which means you're going to be a better husband, a better father, a better spouse, a better significant other. You're going to be a better person in business. You're going to be a better person in life. I cannot stress that enough. Listen twice as much as you talk and you're going to be all right. Now, what I'm going to start ending the day with, and Dan and Steve and some of these guys that have worked with me a lot over the years, one of the quotes not even a quote, one of the things I would always do, I would have people sitting in front of me. And the average room size that I would generally be with would be somewhere, I'm going to say around 50, maybe 60 people. That was average. Sometimes we did big stage events where I would speak for an hour or 2. And I would be maybe in Singapore where I think I had 5,000 or 6,000 people. So there's a lot of different variations of what I've done over the years, but I'm going to give you every bit of that information. If you just stay tuned and keep watching, you're going to keep getting everything I've ever taught over the years. It's going to be in short bits. It's not going to be 3 days at 8 hours a day. And I apologize. I talk fast. I get off on tangents. I do a lot of different things. I've been told it's harder to watch the recording than to watch the live because I am just going in 15 different directions. But that's who I am. Somebody asked me about drinking too much coffee. I don't have too much coffee. I do like my Diet Coke. Somebody made a comment about that yesterday. But I prefer to have the caffeine free if I have it. So the caffeine's not my issue. The issue is I get excited. I didn't think I was going to like this medium. Boy, with the comments that I got yesterday, the asking to do more stuff, to teach more stuff, that was so helpful. So let me know in the chat or on the messenger what you want me to talk more about. There's going to be a lot of sales to start this because I think it's something we all need to be better at. I'm constantly working on becoming a better salesperson. I know you said you guys don't think you're in sales a lot of times, but by the end of this, you're going to see that. And if you keep watching this, you're going to see that I've said buy multiple times. Why? Because I want you to buy in to what I'm saying. Every time you say the word buy, subconsciously people hear that. They may not know they heard it, but they heard it. And so what's interesting is when you are trying to sell somebody something, use the word buy when you can. It can't be uncomfortable. It can't be wrong. It can't be used wrongly. But I think it can be used very effectively because we're selling to the subconscious as much as we are the conscious. And so we've got to be aware of that. I'm going to be calling it a day. Man, 30 minutes already. This gets so easy to just keep going and going and going. And so I'm going to ask again, share this with as many people as you can. I would greatly appreciate that. Somebody told me I can find out how many people are watching. I have no idea what's going on and how that's working. I'm sure we have less people today live than we did yesterday. and that's completely fine. Share it with your friends. Watch it on the recording. I would greatly appreciate that. We're going to keep talking about sales. It is what? It's Friday today. So what I'm probably going to do, I've got a webinar that I'm going to be on for the entire weekend. So I'll probably do my next, I'm going to look at my calendar as I'm talking to everybody. You guys are going, boy, this guy is really unprofessional. No, I'm just me. So we're going to probably do around, I'm going to say 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Central on Monday for the next Facebook Live. And so what I want to do is make sure that you guys have that. I'll send it out. I don't know exactly. We'll be talking more about sales, obviously. I got people messaging me, and I'm not even sure how to get these off of there while I'm talking. But Michael Lee, good to see you, my friend, on the message board. I just want to make sure that we've got plenty of value. Remember names. Please, please listen twice as much. We're going to talk about the 3L system. Listen, link, and lead, or listen, lead, and link. And I'm going to show you how listening is by far the most important thing. When people tell me they don't remember names, I said, you never heard it. That's why you didn't remember it. You didn't hear where they were from. You didn't put a distinction there. I don't know a ton about Glenn, but I know the guy likes to sail. I remember him talking about it. So if it's important to him, make it important to you. Michelle, if I can remember, you guys have a lot of kids. Is that right? Am I got the right Michelle from Wichita? And I'm trying to think of your husband's name. You guys have like 4 or 5 kids. Is that correct? Michelle, tell me if I'm right or wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm completely cool with that. I don't want to have to be right, but I do want to at least try. Applying the 3-second rule to listen to others. Aldo, I appreciate that. That's great. I love that. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to end this, and I'm going to end this way. And I started to talk about this 5 minutes ago, got off on a tangent. Totally apologize for that. And so what I want to do is I would always tell students when I was in front of them, didn't matter what the size of the room was, I'd say, turn to the person beside you and say, you're going to be all right. 6 kids. See, I remember that, Michelle. I remember stuff about you. I saw Clint out in Vegas about 6 months after we met in Wichita. So anyway, point I want to make is I always would tell students to turn to the person beside him and say, you're going to be all right. If I could ask you guys to do me one more favor for the day, go to somebody you know. So go to somebody you don't know. It doesn't matter if it's a waiter at a restaurant, if it's a person cutting your hair. It doesn't matter if it's your spouse, your significant other, one of your kids, your pastor, your neighbor. Just turn to them today and say, you're going to be all right, because there's too much negative in the world today. We're all going to be all right. Are we going to have struggles? Are we going to have problems? Are we going to have stress? Are we going to have issues? We're all going to have that. So just to understand, if we're all in this together, we're all going to be all right. So do me a favor. Turn to somebody that you know today, somebody in your life. Just look at them. Tell them they're going to be all right. So till Monday, let's see. And I'm going to just put it out there right now. Let's go 12 o'clock Central on Monday. 1 o'clock Eastern. Have no idea what time that is in Singapore or the UK or New Zealand or wherever everybody's calling in from. So definitely Monday, 12 o'clock. We'll just make that a date, 12 o'clock Central. We're going to talk a lot more about the listen part of sales. I'm going to try to explain to you how to remember where all of these guys are from, how many kids they have, or that they have a lot of kids. I didn't remember exactly how many kids Michelle had. Michelle, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you only had 5 and you've had another one since I met you. But I don't know that. Do not know that for sure. The point being is I'm going to talk a lot more about listening and how to remember stuff on Monday. And so that's the next topic we're going to go about, is listening more on the sales side of things. Like I said, do me a favor, share this with somebody you know, share it with people you don't know. If you didn't like it, don't share it with anybody. And if you liked it, share it with 2 or 3 people if you can, or as many people as you can. I would love to get the message out there, because what you're going to find with this entire Facebook Live portion, it's always going to be positive, and we're always going to have some fun. So turn to the person beside you, turn to somebody you know, tell them you're going to be all right. Till the next time, have a great day, guys. We'll see you Monday, 12 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Eastern. Have a good one.